Do you know, you'd do anything, you'd go to sea in a force 4 gusting 5, and you'd think, do I want to put that oilskin on or not? And you would do anything rather than put the oilskin on. That was the last resort. They were simply horrible.
Those early days, the oilskins, as they still call them today, were literally oilskin. They didn't have an attached hood. You had a sou'wester hat made of the same material.
My grandfather, he had leather boots. They were solid. They didn't have this plastic in those days to make these boots, Wellington boots.
We used to wear thigh boots and an apron if it was fine, and what we called a smock, but they had a big wide open neck. We used to put a towel around our neck most of the time if it was pouring rain, that you used to get so hot, so you got wet with sweat and wet with rain, so you couldn't avoid it.
We used to wear thigh boots because we used to launch the boat most days. You had to be able to get into the water to launch it, and you wanted some long boots. Now, oilskin aprons and oilskin jackets, a lot of the time you wouldn't have got any wetter if you hadn't put them on, because the water used to go straight through it. Unless you kept well linseed oiled, old-fashioned oilskin was a nightmare. You brush linseed oil onto the apron, your oilskin coats. It worked for a short period. It wasn't a permanent remedy. The linseed just disappeared, and you finished up going back to the cloth that was underneath it, which wasn't waterproof.
I think they were treble lined. You had the outer garment, which was supposed to be waterproof. Inside of that, you had an oily cloth, which was marinated to it. And then inside that, you had an inner lining. But the trouble was that after you'd worn these oilskins for a week, they picked up all the grit and grime from the seabed, the shingle, and you would have it on the edge of your sleeves, you would have it around your neck, and the seas would be coming over and the salt would dry. When you think of it, we lived such filthy, grubby lives.
Worst troubles and problems I had with oilskins was my wrists and my neck. Because of the rough oilskin and the stitching, I think it used to aggravate it, and the salt water and one thing and another, we get saltwater boils. I can remember distinctly having one that my dad called it a carbuncle. It had lots of heads on it. He used to gently boil some water, and he put a hot poultice on to draw the head up and then squeeze them out. Red in a cloth I think he used to use to keep the heat.
Then you had the first of the PVC, and that was, you put it on and you struggled to move.
Vinco used to make them. Me and brother went in, bought some oilskin trousers, or like a nylon-y sort of thing. Put them in Britain's in Kingsbridge one time, and I bought this here gear. I thought I'd try these short coats and trousers. Oh, some mountaineering stuff. It wasn't no good at all.
I tried trousers like that. Must be called Jack Kirk. He got something. They reissued them on the electricity board. Yeah. He flogged them to me, and I didn't do a day on them. They were ripped to bits.
Yeah.
Places like Gundry's at Bridport, they started bringing in a lot of your ideas, and you'd see that and give it a go. Taylor's Rubber Company down in Plymouth, we used to get a lot of stuff like that. As the gloves came in, get all that down there.
When I first joined the boats, we never wore gloves. And then I think it was probably the mid-50s, they introduced this synthetic gloves. And of course, fishermen went for them. They still make them today. And it was a case of getting used to it, because all our fingers and thumbs, they were so barnacled. You know, you'd get cuts and bruises on your hands. But you know, when you're in a situation like that, you just get on with it. In those days, there was no alternative. The new fishermen that came on, the young men, would automatically, without hesitation, put gloves on at the beginning of the day, and they wouldn't take them off till late at night.
When I started, it was quite common not to wear gloves. So spines in your hand were fairly regular. And then one day in January I was out there with freezing cold, northeast wind or something. And, you know, I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm going to buy some gloves. So then when we got ashore, I bought some gloves. I took them out the next day. And I was working the capstan at that time. And the bloke that owned the boat was doing the baiting and stacking and clearing. And he looked at me with these gloves on. He said, "You don't need those. Give them to me. I need those because I'm baiting up." I thought, well, hang on, I bought them. So I had to give him my gloves. Buy myself some more. And the Vinco smock. Vinco was the make. Well, it was a thing with a hood on it. It was like a frock, really. I think they did call it a frock at some point. But the material was hard as hell, really not flexible, you know. And on a cold morning especially, you could stand it up in the corner.